My name's Zeo, and welcome once again to another Coffee with Zeo. If you're brand new here, this is a more freeform, unscripted, podcasty sort of thing that we like to do on this channel about this time each month. Not going to be much in the way of supporting visuals, so go ahead and throw this sucker on in the background while you go do Leciel runs, chores, or whatever else it is you do. Speaking of which, Leciel is indeed the topic du jour. We're going to try and answer a very important question. Did Leciel fix a major glaring issue with NGS? In order for something to be fixed, it initially had to be in a broken state. So before we can answer that, we need to examine just what exactly was broken about it. The game's had no shortage of issues the past couple years, but which one is the most prominent? What is it that everyone keeps lamenting time and time again? That's right, lack of any meaningful content with any meaningful rewards. So how did we get here exactly? I guess we should take a look at the evolution of quote-unquote endgame content since Alio. For starters, we had Gigantics farming, and then we had Battle Dia Purple, which also featured Gigantics. But outside of maybe a motion and a couple accessories, they had zero unique loot. The fall of 2021 was rough to say the least, and a lot of us PSO2 streamers essentially became variety streamers for a while. Retem was where they started to experiment a little bit more. You still had Battle Dia Purple, and you still had no unique loot. And then you had Dark Falls, which dropped Sanquam weapons that had really nice potentials, but you really had to bust your ass to upgrade those. Okay, sounds like a step in the right direction, but then you had Geometric Labyrinth. This one showed some promise, since the mobs in there scaled with your level. But once you got in there, oh my goodness. Where do I even begin here? Well, for starters, you need to have the deck stacked so high against you to get any higher ranks. Once again, no unique loot apart from some dogshit augment capsules that have minus stats on them. But then recently they added a couple weapon camos that weren't previously available on Global. And then you had Kavaris. Now they actually tried some different things here. You had your standard Battle Dia Purple with the 5 Gigantics, of course. You had Rayor Gorge. Oh my goodness, Rayor Gorge. In there, you had the Ancients, which you needed to farm to get materials for your 7-star Kaiser weapon. Those suckers could murder you in a single shot. On top of that, you had the cold damage to deal with. To make matters worse, none of the mobs outside that cave were even worth fighting because they didn't drop any materials needed for your Kaiser weapon. Okay, let's talk about Kaiser for a second. With that weapon series, you needed a base 6-star weapon. But when you made the upgrade to Kaiser, it had no enhancement level, no augments, no fixa, no nothing. And then you had Cannonball Rumble, then Cannonball Strike, which were okay-ish, but again, no meaningful unique loot. Ordinal Tower was a little bit better in the loot department. It had secret entrances to different bosses, but there was only one that was actually worth fighting though. With Stia, you had Dryzen Plant and then Nuisance Plant, which had some dynamic elements to them. Then you had Dark Falls Aegis. And then you have Dual Quests, which a lot of people are mixed about. Now, after all that, we can talk about Leciel. Oh, Leciel, Leciel, Leciel. This is everything the pyramid and the other stuff should have been. Dynamic layouts? Check. Dynamic bosses? Check. Dynamic modifiers? Check. Meaningful loot? Check. Even though the map is on a 5x5 grid and the layouts and bosses only change once per day, this feels more and more like old school PSO. They really stepped it up here. But it's not bereft of its issues though, like some of the boss modifiers can really fuck up plugs. Like on some days when you have critical hit modifiers and not everyone's geared up properly, you're gonna have trouble. They initially had this slated for June alongside Creative Spaces to get people laced up for Dark Falls Solace, but I'm kinda glad it had more time in the oven. Speaking of Solace, I've done this a handful of times but didn't get terribly far. You see, right now I'm in the middle of the Zeota Party Planner arc. Not the Zeota Rebirth arc, that's already happened. So a lot of my money has gone into clothes and dance emotes. But lately I've been more focused on getting potencies up. Like last week I was like 125 or so. Now I'm in the upper 130s, knocking on 140. I've got 2 Octo armors, but right now I'm waiting to swap out my last piece of Ajax with one of the newer armors that's coming out. I know. Ajax? Ugh, where's the purple? I was never terribly fond of that stuff. I was never terribly fond of glass cannon setups. I mean, yeah, they have their merit, but myself, I'd rather have that safety net there. My parrying and clapback game ain't the strongest, I'll admit, and I'd rather not get my cheeks busted and be on the ground, cause if I'm on the ground, I'm not hitting anything. I'll get that Solus W eventually, even if there isn't any meaningful loot outside of a camo that sells for like 22 mil right now. At least on ship 1, I don't know about the other ships though. So back to our original question. Did Leciel fix NGS? Well, yes and no. It's a step in the right direction. So, what do you guys think? You know how much I love chopping it up with you guys in the comment section and on the streams. Twitch.tv/Zeomantic. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, to thine own self be true. Until next time, farewell.